Have you ever faced a decision so critical, so life-defining, that every option felt like a risk? Imagine if you had a guide, not just any guide, but one forged by pure reason and observation, by a mind that studied life, success, and human nature like no other. Aristotle, the ancient Greek philosopher, believed that true wisdom isn't about luck, it's about understanding the science of human choice. In today's world, where opportunities and distractions collide at every moment, making the right decision can feel overwhelming. But what if there were timeless principles, independent of time and trend, hidden in Aristotle's philosophy, that could help you cut through the noise, think clearly, and act with confidence? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to apply these ancient strategies in your modern life, turning indecision into clarity, hesitation into action, and challenges into breakthroughs. Stay with me, because this mastery of rational choice could change the way you make decisions forever. Aristotle once said that the good for man is an activity of the soul in accordance with virtue. At first glance, this might sound abstract, philosophical, even distant, but when you look closer, it is a blueprint for decision-making, for navigating the complexities of life and for achieving true success. The essence of Aristotle's teaching is this: every choice we make reflects our character, our values, and our understanding of balance. In the modern world, we are constantly bombarded with choices, some trivial, some monumental. Should I invest in this business opportunity or play it safe? Should I take that promotion, even if it means longer hours? Should I speak up in a meeting or stay silent? Every day, these small and large decisions shape our careers, our relationships, and ultimately our lives. Aristotle's philosophy gives us a lens to see not only the immediate consequences, but also the long-term impact of our actions. At the heart of Aristotle's wisdom is the concept of the golden mean, the idea that virtue lies in balance between extremes. Courage is the mean between recklessness and cowardice. Generosity exists between prodigality and stinginess. Applied to decision-making, this means that the best choice is rarely found at an extreme. It is a path of thoughtful moderation, where logic, intuition, and ethical consideration intersect. For example, in leadership, the impulsive manager who takes every risk may burn bridges and resources, while the overly cautious leader misses opportunities that could transform their company. The leader who navigates the middle path, measured, ethical, and strategic, consistently achieves better results. Let's take a concrete example. Imagine deciding whether to invest in a startup. On one extreme, you could risk everything on instinct, fueled by excitement or fear of missing out. On the other, you could overanalyze every detail, paralyzed by indecision. Aristotle teaches us to step back, evaluate the situation, and make a choice that reflects both prudence and courage. This is the principle of practical wisdom, or phronesis. It is not just thinking, it is thinking with virtue, with discipline, and with an understanding of the consequences. Practical wisdom requires self-awareness. Aristotle emphasized knowing yourself, not just your strengths, but your weaknesses, biases, and habits. Modern psychology confirms this. The most effective leaders, entrepreneurs, and decision-makers cultivate awareness of their patterns and tendencies. They recognize when fear clouds judgment, when pride distorts perception, and when impatience drives rash choices. By developing this self-knowledge, you gain a superpower, the ability to pause, reflect, and act deliberately instead of reacting impulsively to circumstances. Another principle Aristotle teaches is the alignment of choice with purpose. He believed that humans thrive when actions serve a higher goal, what he called Eudaimonia, often translated as flourishing or fulfillment. In contemporary terms, this is about aligning your decisions with your long-term vision of success, not short-term gratification. When faced with a critical decision, ask yourself, does this action move me toward my vision of excellence, leadership, and personal growth? Decisions anchored in purpose naturally lead to clarity, focus, and confidence. Aristotle also emphasized learning from experience. Decisions are not made in isolation. They are shaped by the accumulation of wisdom over time. Modern leaders know this intuitively. The more they reflect on past successes and failures, the sharper their judgment becomes. This iterative approach, analyzing outcomes, adjusting strategies, and refining habits, is timeless. Even in today's fast-paced world, slowing down to reflect is one of the most powerful tools for improving decision-making. Finally, Aristotle teaches that decision-making is inseparable from virtue. Ethical choices are not constraints. They are guides to long-term success. Leaders who compromise integrity for short-term gain may win battles but lose trust, reputation, and influence. By grounding decisions in fairness, courage, and prudence, you create a foundation of trust and resilience that compounds over time. This principle resonates profoundly in modern business and personal life. Ethical decisions attract the right opportunities, partnerships, and respect. They are the invisible force behind sustainable success. So how can we summarize Aristotle's approach to smart decision-making? First, seek balance. Avoid extremes and navigate the golden mean. Second, cultivate practical wisdom. Reflect, observe, and act deliberately. Third, know yourself, your strengths, biases, and tendencies. Fourth, align decisions with your higher purpose, your vision of excellence and personal growth. Fifth, learn from experience. Turn every choice into a lesson that refines your judgment. And sixth, prioritize virtue. Ethical action is not optional. It is essential for lasting success. But this is just the start, because understanding these principles is only half the journey. The real transformation begins when you apply them to the decisions that define your career, your relationships, and your life. In theory, making decisions sounds simple, yet in today's world, decision-making has become one of the most complex skills anyone can master. The sheer volume of options, the speed of information, and the weight of consequences create a landscape that can paralyze even the most capable individuals. Aristotle, living in a world far simpler than ours, recognized a timeless truth. Humans struggle with choice, not because of lack of intelligence, but because of distraction, imbalance, and a failure to align decisions with virtue. Let's consider the modern professional. A manager faces constant pressure, quarterly targets, employee expectations, shareholder demands. Every decision is scrutinized, and every misstep is magnified. Social media, news cycles, and an always connected world amplify every choice. Even a small misjudgment, ignoring data, overreacting to criticism, or choosing convenience over strategy can ripple outward, affecting teams, profits, and careers. This is the contemporary battlefield where Aristotle's wisdom becomes essential. One major challenge is information overload. Unlike Aristotle's era, where knowledge was scarce and deliberate contemplation was the norm, today we are bombarded with constant streams of data, opinions, and predictions. Emails pile up, reports accumulate, notifications demand attention, and every device begs for immediate response. When faced with this flood, decision-making suffers. Our minds can't weigh every variable perfectly, and the result is often rushed or emotionally driven choices. Aristotle would call this a lack of practical wisdom, failing to pause, reflect, and measure the consequences of action. Another challenge is short-term thinking. We live in a culture that rewards instant results. Metrics are measured daily, quarterly, or monthly. Social validation is immediate. Career moves are often judged by quick wins rather than strategic foresight. This creates pressure to act impulsively, ignoring the long-term consequences of decisions. Aristotle teaches that true success requires aligning decisions with eudaimonia, a vision of flourishing that transcends fleeting gains. Without this alignment, even the smartest choices can lead to disappointment, burnout, or ethical compromise. Fear and indecision are equally modern dilemmas. Many professionals hesitate because the stakes feel too high. They overanalyze, defer action, or rely on others to dictate the course. Yet Aristotle emphasized courage, not reckless but measured courage that arises from understanding. Avoiding decisions may feel safe in the moment, but it is a form of stagnation. Opportunities fade, growth stalls, and momentum is lost. Every moment of indecision is a moment your future self pays the price for. Distraction and temptation are also modern enemies of wise choice. Social media scrolling, constant notifications, and endless entertainment fragment attention. Focus, the foundation of practical wisdom, becomes rare. Aristotle would argue that virtue and excellence require discipline. The mind must be trained to discern what matters, to prioritize, and to act decisively. Every day that you surrender to distraction, you chip away at the capacity to make good decisions, the very capacity that shapes success, leadership, and personal growth. Even when we act with intention, bias clouds judgment. Modern science confirms what Aristotle observed intuitively. Humans are prone to cognitive biases. We overestimate our abilities, favor information that confirms pre-existing beliefs, and let emotions dictate reasoning. In leadership, this can manifest as overconfidence in risky ventures or unjust decisions that erode trust. In personal life, it can mean settling for less than our potential or repeating patterns that hinder growth. Aristotle's guidance, grounding decisions in virtue, balance, and reflection, offers a shield against these traps. Finally, one of the greatest modern challenges is ethical compromise. In competitive environments, the pressure to succeed can tempt individuals to cut corners. We rationalize everyone else is doing it, or this one choice won't hurt. Aristotle understood that this erosion of virtue doesn't just impact others, it corrodes your own character. Short-term gains are fleeting, but the cost to reputation, trust, and long-term opportunity can be permanent. In today's interconnected, transparent world, ethical decisions are more than moral. They are strategic. Now imagine facing all these challenges without a guiding framework, overwhelmed by choices, pulled in every direction, tempted by shortcuts, paralyzed by fear, distracted by noise. This is a common reality for many leaders and ambitious individuals today. The stakes are enormous. A single poor decision can cascade into missed opportunities, lost revenue, strained relationships, or even personal regret. Aristotle's philosophy is not antiquated. It is a roadmap to navigate precisely these modern pitfalls. Here's the truth. Wisdom is not a luxury. It is a survival skill in today's world. Practical wisdom, virtue, self-awareness, and alignment with purpose aren't just philosophical ideals. They are tools to conquer modern challenges. They allow you to act decisively, maintain balance, and avoid the hidden costs of poor decisions. Without them, every opportunity carries risk. With them, every challenge becomes a stepping stone to growth and excellence. But knowing the challenges is only the first step. Awareness without action is like seeing a map but refusing to take the path. Now that we understand the principles of Aristotle and the modern challenges we face, it's time to move from theory to action. Aristotle believed that philosophy without practice is like a map without a journey. It has potential, but it accomplishes nothing. So how do we take these timeless ideas and apply them to our daily decisions, leadership, and personal growth? Let's explore concrete strategies that will transform indecision into clarity and hesitation into breakthrough. Pause and reflect before acting. The first principle is deceptively simple: stop. In our fast-paced world, we're conditioned to react instantly. Emails, notifications, and urgent demands push us to respond before we think. Aristotle would remind us that the soul acts best when guided by reason, not impulse. Take a deliberate pause. Ask, what is the purpose of this decision? What is the best outcome aligned with my values and long-term vision? Even a brief moment of reflection rewires your brain to act with practical wisdom rather than reacting emotionally to pressure. Identify the golden mean. Every decision has extremes. Aristotle's concept of the golden mean, the balance between deficiency and excess, applies directly to modern life. Are you overcommitting, taking on every project and losing focus, or undercommitting and missing key opportunities? Are you too cautious, avoiding risk entirely, or reckless, gambling with resources and relationships? Map the extremes, then locate the virtuous middle. This isn't compromise, it's strategic balance. For example, When negotiating a business deal, find a solution that is firm yet fair, ambitious yet sustainable. The middle path often delivers the best long-term results. Align choices with purpose-driven decisions are inherently smarter. Aristotle called this alignment with eudaimonia, or human flourishing. In modern terms, it's asking, does this choice bring me closer to my goals, values, and vision of excellence? Every day you face decisions that may seem small, but they compound over time. Should you invest an hour in networking or scrolling social media? Should you speak up in a meeting or stay silent? The answer lies in alignment with your purpose. When each choice reflects your higher vision, clarity becomes a natural byproduct. Develop decision rituals. Habits shape outcomes. Aristotle emphasized discipline and repetition. Virtue is cultivated through practice. You can implement simple decision rituals to create consistent success. Morning clarity session. Spend 10 minutes identifying your top 3 priorities and the key decisions you must make that day. Decision journal. Record major choices, your reasoning, expected outcomes, and actual results. Reflect weekly to refine judgment. Pause and evaluate. For decisions under pressure, take a brief walk, meditate, or review your goals. This builds the habit of reflection before reaction. These rituals may seem small, but Aristotle understood that small, repeated actions compound into excellence. Modern neuroscience confirms this. Structured reflection and deliberate practice significantly improve decision-making and leadership over time. Seek counsel and diverse perspectives. Aristotle recognized that humans are social creatures. Wisdom is not solely internal. It grows through dialogue, mentorship, and feedback. In today's world, this means seeking diverse perspectives to challenge assumptions. When making major decisions, ask trusted advisors for input. Invite critique from people with different experiences and viewpoints. This doesn't dilute your judgment, it strengthens it. Balanced, virtuous decisions are rarely born in isolation. Embrace small wins and iterative progress. Big decisions can feel overwhelming. Aristotle teaches us to break them into manageable steps. Start small. Test a strategy on a limited scale. Measure results, adjust. These micro-decisions build confidence and generate momentum. For example, if you're considering a career pivot, experiment with side projects, networking, or skill building before committing fully. Each small victory reinforces your practical wisdom and moves you closer to transformative breakthroughs. Practice ethical deliberation. Every decision is not just about efficiency or profit, it is about virtue. Ethical reflection should guide every action. Ask, does this decision honor my integrity, benefit others, and contribute to long-term success? Ethical choices often unlock opportunities that shortcuts cannot. Leaders who act with integrity gain trust, loyalty, and influence, intangibles that compound into unparalleled success. Create a decision framework. Finally, Aristotle encourages structure. Develop a framework that incorporates reflection, purpose, balance, consultation, and ethics. For instance, Step 1. Clarify the decision and desired outcome. Step 2. Map extremes and locate the balanced path. Step 3. Align with long-term goals and values. Step 4. Seek input and diverse perspectives. Step 5. Take deliberate action and monitor results. By consistently applying this framework, you train your mind to make smarter, faster, and more confident decisions. What once felt overwhelming now becomes navigable, a map for success rooted in centuries of wisdom. These practical strategies are your toolkit for transformation. Yet even with habits, rituals, and frameworks, there is another level. Leadership decisions, high-stakes challenges, and strategic thinking. Aristotle's wisdom shines brightest when applied not just to personal growth but to leading others, shaping organizations, and creating impact. Up to this point, we've explored Aristotle's timeless principles and how to apply them to personal decisions and daily challenges. But what about leadership? The arena where stakes are higher, outcomes ripple farther, and decisions shape not just your life, but the lives of those you lead. Aristotle's philosophy is not just personal. It is profoundly strategic. It provides a blueprint for navigating complexity, balancing competing priorities, and creating lasting impact. Lead with virtue, not just authority. Aristotle emphasized that excellence in leadership is inseparable from virtue. Leadership is more than giving orders or holding a title. It is the ability to inspire trust, cultivate loyalty, and set an example of ethical action. Leaders who act with courage, fairness, and integrity are not only respected, they create environments where high performance thrives. Conversely, leaders who prioritize expediency over ethics may achieve short-term gains but erode morale, trust, and long-term success. Consider a CEO deciding whether to cut costs through layoffs or restructure strategically. A purely transactional approach might reduce expenses immediately, but it risks losing talent, loyalty, and organizational culture. A virtuous approach, transparent, empathetic, balanced, addresses financial realities while preserving trust and morale. Aristotle teaches that leadership rooted in virtue creates compounding returns. Trust multiplies opportunities. Respect fuels collaboration. Fairness strengthens decision-making across teams. Strategic decision-making at scale, high-stakes leadership requires decisions with far-reaching consequences. Aristotle's principles provide a compass, balance, prudence, and purpose. For instance, when considering a major business acquisition, leaders face extremes: overconfidence and risk-taking on one side, fear and inertia on the other. By applying the golden mean, leaders find the measured path, evaluating risks and rewards, consulting advisors, analyzing trends, and making a decision that aligns with long-term strategy. Modern executives often confront what Aristotle would call complex moral landscapes, situations where financial, ethical, and human factors intertwine. Leaders who embrace practical wisdom navigate these scenarios effectively. They make decisions that are not only profitable, but sustainable, ethical, and aligned with the organization's mission. The result? Decisions that endure and organizations that flourish. Cultivate self-mastery to influence others. Aristotle understood that leaders must first master themselves before guiding others. Self-discipline, emotional intelligence, and reflective practice are essential. Leaders who react impulsively under pressure erode confidence. Those who maintain composure, balance, and clarity inspire teams to act decisively. Practical strategies include daily reflection. Assess your decisions, actions, and emotional responses. Learn continuously. Mentorship and feedback. Seek honest perspectives from trusted advisors to refine judgment. Stress calibration. Practice deliberate focus under pressure, ensuring decisions are based on reason and virtue. Not fear or ego. Self-mastery amplifies influence. Teams follow leaders who are consistent, wise, and principled. Decisions are executed with precision. Morale is high and productivity increases. Align organizational decisions with purpose. Aristotle's concept of eudaimonia, human flourishing, applies to organizations as well as individuals. Leaders must ensure that company goals, strategies, and decisions align with a higher purpose. This creates coherence, clarity, and motivation. Employees are more engaged, clients are more loyal, and leaders can make confident choices knowing they reflect a larger mission. For example, a company deciding whether to pivot into a new market must consider not only profitability, but alignment with its core values, long-term vision, and societal impact. Purpose-driven decisions attract opportunities that extend far beyond immediate gains. They create ecosystems of growth, trust, and influence. Master the art of timing, Aristotle recognized that wisdom is not only about what to do, but when to act. In leadership, timing can be the difference between success and failure. Leaders must assess context, anticipate consequences, and strike when conditions align. Acting too early can be reckless. Waiting too long can mean missed opportunities. Practical wisdom involves patience, observation, and decisive action at the right moment. Build systems that reinforce excellence. Great leaders do not rely solely on personal brilliance. They design systems that embed virtue, discipline, and strategy. Decision-making frameworks, ethical guidelines, and structured processes amplify the impact of leadership. Teams equipped with these systems operate efficiently, make aligned choices, and uphold organizational values even when leaders are not present. Transform challenges into strategic advantages. High-level leadership is about turning obstacles into opportunities. Aristotle teaches that adversity is a teacher. When faced with crises, market disruption, organizational conflict, or unexpected setbacks, leaders who apply virtue, balance, and practical wisdom convert challenges into breakthroughs. They see not just problems but possibilities. They make decisions that create resilience, growth, and competitive advantage. Consider the global business landscape. Companies that survive economic downturns, rapidly evolving technologies, or cultural shifts do so because leaders apply these principles. Decisions are guided by ethical standards, strategic insight, and disciplined execution. They emerge stronger, more respected, and better positioned for long-term success. Aristotle's advanced strategies remind us that leadership is both an art and a science. It requires courage, reflection, balance, and ethical rigor. When applied consistently, these principles elevate decisions from personal to organizational impact, from ordinary choices to transformative strategies that drive success, productivity, and excellence. And yet, even the most strategic leader faces the ultimate question: how does all this translate into mastery, transformation, and lasting personal fulfillment? That is where the final chapter takes us, exploring the ultimate payoff of applying Aristotle's wisdom in life, leadership, and legacy. Imagine for a moment a life where your decisions are deliberate, your actions aligned with purpose, and your leadership grounded in virtue. This is not an abstract ideal. It is the result of consistently applying Aristotle's wisdom. Mastery is not a single achievement. It is the cumulative effect of thoughtful choices, disciplined habits, and strategic action over time. Transformation is the visible outcome: clarity, confidence, influence, and a life that reflects your highest potential. Aristotle teaches that human flourishing, or eudaimonia, is the ultimate goal. In modern terms, this is personal and professional excellence, living a life where success, balance, and growth are not separate pursuits, but interconnected outcomes of virtuous action. Every choice, no matter how small, either moves you toward or away from this ideal. Mastery is the ability to consistently steer your life toward the path of purpose, virtue, and practical wisdom. Personal transformation. Through deliberate habits, small consistent actions compound into extraordinary results. Aristotle emphasized the importance of cultivating virtue through practice. In today's context, this might mean daily reflection, strategic planning, disciplined execution, and ethical decision-making. Each small habit reinforces clarity, focus, and confidence. Over time, these habits create a mindset that naturally gravitates toward excellence, turning ordinary routines into extraordinary results. Consider the modern professional who starts each day with intentional reflection. They review their goals, assess key decisions, and align actions with values. Over months and years, this seemingly simple ritual transforms not only their career trajectory, but also their character, influence, and resilience. Aristotle's wisdom becomes embedded, not just in thought, but in action. Leadership as a transformational force. True mastery extends beyond the self. It shapes others. Leaders who apply Aristotle's principles inspire teams, organizations, and communities. They demonstrate that decisions grounded in virtue and balance produce results that are ethical, strategic, and sustainable. Leadership becomes a force multiplier. The better the leader, the better the decisions of everyone they influence. Productivity, morale, and innovation flourish under such guidance. This transformation is visible in real-world scenarios. A CEO who applies ethical, strategic decision-making builds trust and loyalty. Employees feel empowered to act with integrity. Teams are aligned, motivated, and productive. What begins as a personal commitment to virtue ripples outward, transforming organizations and industries. Strategic mastery of decision-making. Aristotle's teachings elevate decision-making from reactive to strategic. Mastery is the ability to anticipate consequences, weigh risks and rewards, and act with deliberate purpose. Every choice becomes an opportunity to practice prudence, courage, and ethical judgment. Over time, this strategic approach reduces mistakes, accelerates growth, and positions you to seize opportunities that others overlook. In the modern world, this translates into a competitive advantage. Leaders and professionals who consistently apply these principles make smarter, faster, and more ethical decisions. They avoid the pitfalls of impulsive action, distraction, and fear-driven choices. They act with confidence because their decisions are grounded in virtue and aligned with purpose. Integrating excellence, balance, and growth transformation is holistic. Aristotle teaches that success is not merely external achievement. It is the harmony of mind, character, and action. True mastery integrates personal growth, professional achievement, and ethical integrity. It is the balance between ambition and reflection, risk and prudence, action and wisdom. When these elements align, life becomes not a series of chaotic choices, but a coherent journey of purpose and fulfillment. Practical application might include structuring your day around high-impact decisions, reflecting weekly on lessons learned and adjustments needed, mentoring others while continuing personal development, aligning every major decision with long-term vision and ethical standards, the compounding power of transformation. The beauty of Aristotle's approach is that transformation compounds. One virtuous, wise decision leads to another. One ethical, strategic action builds credibility, trust, and influence. Small wins accumulate, habits solidify, and mastery becomes visible in tangible results: career growth, productivity, leadership impact, and personal fulfillment. This is the ultimate payoff of applying ancient wisdom in modern life. Consider the individual who consistently makes balanced, ethical, purpose-driven choices. Over time, they achieve professional breakthroughs, cultivate meaningful relationships, and develop the confidence to lead with integrity. Their life becomes a reflection of Aristotle's ideal: success achieved not through shortcuts or luck, but through disciplined, virtuous action. Your path forward transformation is available to anyone willing to commit. It begins with awareness, is built through deliberate action, and flourishes through consistent application of Aristotle's principles. Every decision, habit, and leadership choice is a step toward mastery. The question is not whether this path works, it is whether you are ready to take it. Aristotle's philosophy is not relic, it is a living roadmap for modern leaders, professionals, and individuals seeking clarity, confidence, and extraordinary results. Your transformation is possible. It begins with the next decision you make, guided by balance, purpose, and practical wisdom. Aristotle's wisdom shows that success, leadership, and mastery come from balance, reflection, and purposeful action. Remember, balance, courage, purpose, virtue, and consistent action to go further. Watch the video on the left, The Golden Mean, Aristotle's formula to win in modern life, to see how balance can transform your decisions, or the video on the right, Aristotle's 3 secrets to achieve success and master your life, to learn the principles that can change your career and personal growth. Subscribe, hit the bell, and comment. The most important decision you'll make this week.